This is Sean Manaher and RJ Adams here with Book Marketing Tools. In this episode, we'll be talking with Shari Stauch from Where Writers Win, where she shares her journey that got her started into book publishing, what a book marketing plan should include, a cool marketing tactic that is working for one of her author clients, a social media process that will work for any genre, and there's so much more. Let's not wait any longer. Let's jump right in, but make sure you stick around to the end. See you soon. Accelerate your book marketing success with Publish, powerful, affordable book creation and marketing tools that help you reach new readers, track their engagement with your work, build your author brand, improve discoverability, become a more effective marketer. Start your 30-day free trial at Publish.com. Hey everyone, Sean Manaher here with RJ Adams on the Author Hangout. We have a very special guest today. Shari Stauch is with us from writerswin.com, and that's where writers win. Shari, how are you doing today?
Great, how are you?
Good, I'm doing really well, and I do want to make sure that say hello to RJ, the co-host of the Author Hangout.
Hey guys.
Now,
hey,
we
Shari.
definitely have, I knew I was your fan, and so a little bit of history for folks. I met you at PubSmart 2014, and just a few months ago. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. But as soon as I saw you, I was like, man, she looks very familiar. And I was like, I know this person. And come to find out, on your bio, you're like a billiard champion in the WPBA Hall of Fame in 2007. And so congrats on that. Tell us a little bit about your career in billiards, if you don't mind.
Thank you, thank you. Sign of a misspent youth, they say, right? Dad owned a pool hall, so I grew up in pool, and I ended up making a career of it and had a great time. My family launched Pool and Billiard magazine back in the 80s, and that was at a time when pool was really taking off, especially end of 1985, beginning of 1986, with the release of The Color of Money. Yeah. And a lot of billiard clubs were opening up, so we had a very fortunate path there. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was a fan back then. I watched religiously on the weekends you in tournaments, and I was like, oh, she's amazing. And my path, I was like hoping to do that one day, and I was actually dashed to pieces when I wasn't good enough and didn't even try. But anyways, I'm just going off on a tangent on that. But so switching back, so can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with book marketing?
Well, first because of the magazine. So I'd been involved in publishing, and of course in magazine publishing, you might know the story that a lot of big magazines have struggled enormously, not just because of the economy, but because of this whole digital space and social media and all that kind of stuff. And frankly, our company was in the same position in pool, where it was kind of a standoffish, yeah, okay, but we don't want to do that. That's going to be competition, right, for the magazine business. Yeah. Until we learned that, it wasn't going to go away. So you have to learn to work with it, instead of against it. So we started doing a digital edition of the magazine, engaging in a lot of social media with Pool and Billiard magazine, and that became very successful. At the same time, I had a publisher approach me to write a pool book called Precision Pool, and then approach us to do a second pool book called Pool Player's Edge, and then subsequently there were second editions to both of those books. And I learned during the course of that it wasn't very different, and even though it was a traditional publishing deal, and Human Kinetics out of Champaign, they do a lot of sports titles, Champaign, Illinois, fabulous publisher, but regardless of how much work they did behind the scenes, it was still up to the authors to do a lot of those marketing things. So when we relocated from Chicago to Charleston, just because we fell in love with the area, I had the opportunity to get involved with some local writers groups and saw that they were making a lot of these same kind of mistakes, whether you're in sports or authors or anything, and sports pools the same way. If you're an individual athlete, there are connections that you need to be making, connecting with fans, connecting with media. So I started taking some of what I knew and just working informally with authors, and it kind of morphed out of that.
What is the hardest thing that authors deal with when it comes to marketing their own ebooks?
Oh, well, I think the first thing, well, there's two big things. One is misinformation. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and because of this whole new explosion of self-publishing and stuff, there are people that kind of want to take advantage of authors. When you're birthing this new baby, your book, you're willing to kind of do anything to get it out there. Mm-hmm. So you have to be very careful and do research on companies that you're going to work with. And then the other thing is the understanding that, nowadays, true in the traditional sense of things, an author needed to make it, especially in fiction, in that first 90 days with that book, or it was going to be remaindered on the shelves. And now books that are 10, 15 years old are coming back to the fore and gaining new steam because a book club will pick it up here or a reviewer catch it there. So you have a much longer shelf life. So the first thing we tell authors is it's a marathon, not a race.
Very cool.
What are some resources that you recommend for authors to learn about book marketing?
Yours is a great resource. I've watched your podcasts. I love them. Where Writers Win does a blog. We blog every other day, and we feature guest authors too. And we do tend to connect our tribe a lot with each other. So if I have somebody who's trying to market Western fiction and somebody else has had a very difficult time doing that and needs to reach, we try and connect those folks too. Our winner circle at writerswin.com is all about seeking those bigger influencers, because that's huge nowadays, reaching the reviewers, reaching the live book clubs, getting to a bigger, the one-on-one stuff is good to develop fans and communications and things, but interacting in those groups and getting to a larger segment of people every time you interact with one has become very, very important.
And with that, what should, this is a big question, but what should a book marketing plan look like for authors, especially new ones, and they're kind of getting into it and they're saying, okay, what is it supposed to look like?
Well, it has to be an overall strategy and take what we call kind of that multi-pronged approach. So there's a combination of live. You definitely want to schedule those live book signings, book parties, and the virtual, and the social media versus and I don't know where you guys fall in line. I almost kind of consider Goodreads as to be a strong social media site right now for readers and authors, but it's kind of both. It's both a book-centric, reader-centric, and social media kind of crossover site there. Making sure that they have their Amazon author page tricked out, and if they're doing videos attached to that. There is no one cookie-cutter approach, because the way that I'm going to approach something with a nonfiction author writing a business help book is going to be much different than the fiction author, or even the fiction author in one genre versus another, or marketing a children's book, very challenging because you're not exactly allowed to go out and collect email addresses of children, so there's those issues. The kind of overriding strategy that we work with folks on is, it's kind of a step down. You have your social media that's driving people to your blog/website, that's driving people that enable you to collect their email addresses, because we all kind of know now that, if 1 in 1,000 is going to buy something from you off Twitter, it's more like 1 in 100 on email if you can collect that. But now again, that could change too a year from now as more people are texting and less emailing. So you have to remain very, very fluid. And the overriding factor that we really try and engage authors with is pick a number. Pick, and I don't care what your number is. If you don't have a lot of time to do marketing, or if you're in the middle of writing a book, maybe your number's only 5 or 7 or 10. Maybe your number's 20 or 50. But say to yourself, when you wake up in the morning, by the end of today, 20, 50, whatever, more people are going to know who I am and the name of my book. And so however you're doing it, because some people end up more comfortable with one medium over another.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that about, text messaging, and I've never even thought about that. Have you tried that in trying to get people to either purchase or connect with a book? You said more people on mobile.
We haven't done anything with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but again, are you collecting them yet? No. But I know more generations of people are interacting that way on text versus email. So now, what's the next step? Who's going to come in and take advantage of that? And there have been some companies more at a local level that have tried to do those sorts of things, the instant texting and stuff. And I don't know about you, but for me, it's very quick. As soon as I get one of those messages, I immediately click off of it. I don't want strangers texting me, but it's going to happen, just like email.
Yeah. So what is working right now for your authors, for you and your authors when trying to publish a book?
Well, again, it's a combination of things, and it depends on the author. I have one author, love to tell this story about. She has 3 different books out there, and one was sort of more of a memoir situation. She actually donated a kidney to her brother-in-law and wrote about it. It's called Donor Girl, and she had been a very fearful person to do that, and it was a very brave step. So she wrote that memoir and then ended up writing one way or another. And somebody asked her once, I think it was in an interview not too long ago, talking about her, and her name is Lee Adams, asking her why don't authors, or it's not like, oh no, she read an article, it's not like authors can just do Tupperware parties. And she said to herself, well, why not? So she actually got some of her friends together, one of her friends to host a book party. She brought all 3 of her books, including her newest one, and they could just buy the newest one for one price, or she would bundle all 3 of them for another price. Everybody that came to the party bought at least one book. A lot of them bought the bundles, and a lot of them bought the books then to gift on to others. And she's spreading a very great message in the process of that, both in the fiction and the nonfiction, and doing something a little different on the life scale. So we really like those kind of out-of-the-box ideas that say, okay, let's try it this way.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. A lot of people say, like, don't market to your friends, but I think if you set it up kind of in that way, that's a really cool way to get your friends involved.
To start. Right, and it's a great way to start with your friends because, again, initially we all know that a lot of this stuff is driven by reviews, and you want to get a lot of positive reviews on Amazon because that's what's going to let you advertise on BookBub. And I think if people aren't familiar with BookBub, we should know that BookBub is phenomenal return on investment. I haven't had an author place on BookBub yet to run a deal that hasn't far exceeded their expectations in terms of book sales, not only through the course of the promotion, but in the weeks following it. So, but you need a lot of positive reviews to even get on that list to advertise with BookBub. So,
and I guess it's getting authors used to basically building a business, because in any business, the first line of people that you're connecting with are your friends, your family, your connections, your network. So I would imagine when you even started When Writers Win, or your marketing company, you started with the people you knew.
Yeah, we did. We started. I got involved with, local organizations are a great place to start, and we call that kind of rippling out. So you start in your market, and if you start with in my case, I worked with Charleston Center for Women, which was a women's development group. They did a lot of classes on business and marketing for women entrepreneurs and that kind of thing. And I volunteered to do some speaking there. I volunteered to do a women writers forum there to get to know some of the women in the area. And then sure enough, those women in the area knew others outside their market. Oh, so-and-so is writing a book. You have to talk to them. And it does. It kind of ripples out from there. And an author needs to find something that they have an affinity for in their market, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like a networking organization. It can be, there's a lot of what we call cause marketing nowadays that fits the author category very, very well, because typically an author does have an issue that they're writing about, whether in fiction or nonfiction. They have an issue that's very close to their heart, and you can get involved with that local charity and start there. Do a signing for their benefit. Contribute part of the proceeds to there, and it gets you to know other people in the community too, and then from there you branch out.
I want to introduce you to Publish, an innovative, award-winning book creation and marketing platform that is changing the way writers share their stories and reach and engage new readers. Thousands of authors around the world use Publish to grow their audience, track engagement, and build a dynamic author brand that drives sales. I love that the company's founders are professional writers who know what it takes to be successful and make money from writing. They understand that today's authors need feedback and a strategic marketing plan to be successful, so they built real-time social metrics and educational tutorials right into the platform. With Publish's affordable Authorpreneur dashboard, you'll have a whole suite of simple, professional, cutting-edge marketing and creation tools at your fingertips. Publish gives authors competitive edge in today's crowded book marketplace. I recommend you sign up for a 30-day free trial today at Publish.com. In talking about getting to know other people, the reason why we know each other is we connected with Kathy Mice from Publish, and she said, "Hey, Sean, yeah, you should come to PubSmart." So can you tell us a little bit and tell the audience, what is PubSmart?
PubSmart came out of, Kathy's and my and some other people on the Where Writers Win team's initial discussions of, we speak at a lot of conferences around the country, and we were seeing, unfortunately, a little bit of a disconnect between what was being said and talked about in the sessions at those conferences and what an author today needed to hear. And whether in any three stages of an author's career, whether they were initially choosing a publishing path, it's not good enough to have your friends say, well, I did this, so it must be right for you. Whether they're right in the thick of things and about to publish, how do you vet and find an editor? How do you make that marriage? How do you choose a cover designer? How do you font and test covers? Or that post-publication stage of, okay, now I have this book, now what? I've built it, will they come? No, you're going to starve to death unless you're able to get out there using tools like Publish, apps like Books I Love, sites like yours and ours where we're encouraging folks to, you need as much education. Knowledge is power, right? And the more that you know, the better decisions you can make.
Yeah, and so how could, I know that PubSmart was really a success in my mind. It was a lot of fun to be there. How can authors get involved with PubSmart now?
Well, people can go to PubSmartCon, PubSmart C-O-N as in conference, con.com, and you can sign up, go to any of the blogs. We have, breaking news kind of things. On the blog page, you can subscribe to our site via email, and there are lots of when you go into those blog posts, you'll see lots of existing blog posts in there. We requested each of the faculty members from the conference that happened in April write a blog post to educate folks a little bit more, and there will be ongoing news as we start to develop faculty and things for next year's event. Next year's event takes place in Charleston, South Carolina again. It's March 22 through 24. And yeah, it was a discussion. We said that we wanted to start the conversation, and it exceeded our wildest expectations in terms of both the attendees and the faculty that attended. The faculty was as interested to know a lot of these things from each other and learn from each other too, so it ended up being phenomenal networking. And so we're expanding it a little bit next year. It's going to move to 2 full days of sessions, and we're very, very excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I got the sense that there was real, and I know at a conference it's tough to get this, but I felt that it was like a community and like a bunch of people that knew each other coming and hanging out. So it really felt pretty cool that way. So, yeah.
It's something we really requested of our faculty initially, and we're very happy to get to. We call it that generosity of spirit, where everyone genuinely wanted to help each other out. So it was a very authentic experience for everyone who attended. We're excited.
What are some of the kinds of things besides the sessions that authors can expect to get at PubSmart?
A lot of learning, a lot of networking, and again, depending on your path, we have both traditional and non-traditional things represented there. So yes, we bring in the agents and editors. For some authors, traditional might still be the path they should be taking or the path that they want to take, but we also give them other options. So there are a number of independent publishers there, of hybrid publishers there, and so if you're coming in looking for a publishing deal, a lot of folks walked away with that publishing deal. If you come in looking for, well, how am I going to market this work, you're going to make those connections, whether it's through services and finding those apps and discoverability tools, and or just connecting with other folks in the group. So they really have kept in communication to help each other market their work afterwards.
Earlier you mentioned part of a book marketing plan should be social media, and we kind of wanted to dive into social media. We noticed that the blog on writerswin.com had a lot to say about social media. So what social media, or sorry, how should authors use social media effectively?
It comes down to, again, depends on the author, depends on what they're marketing. A lot of people say it depends on what you like to do. If you hate Twitter, stay off of it. If your readers are in Twitter, if you write in a genre where that's where your readers are hanging out, I will make you love it because that's what's important for you to do, to be able to market to those folks too. But what I tell a lot of people from the get-go is that social media is just, it is one tool. It's not the answer to everything. It's one tool, and it's a very useful tool for authors in that it's not going to cost you the thousands of dollars that an ad in New York Times or the Wall Street Journal is going to cost you. And it is a written form of communication, which authors should already have the advantage going into, right? So it's a matter of using that social media tool to engage those fans and followers, having them engage other people, bring them back to your website, get that email address, make them want to read anything that you write, you know, make them want to listen to you or see you rewrite the phone book. You know, you have to develop that. It's all about kind of building that fan base. I think a lot of authors don't understand initially that they are celebrities. They lack that confidence, and they say, well, it's just little old me in that book. You know, and I notice it a lot when we say, when they open up their Facebook fan page and it says, you know, are you a real celebrity? And they say, well, no. I said, well, okay, first of all, that's asking you, you know, if you have a Britney Spears page, are you pretending to be her or are you her? But what you have to understand here is that you are a celebrity. That's why people come to book signings. They want to meet authors. You know, it's an impressive thing that you've done, written a book, and that you have it out there, so kind of own that, yeah?
So when we're looking at Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, we would like to get into the best ways for authors to use this is. So the first one is, what is the best way for authors to use Twitter?
Twitter's all about stealing, but it's legal stealing, and it's fun. And so Twitter you can not only use to do your research, but also, you know, obviously retweets are a great way to start and kind of check out what other people are tweeting about and things. But you're going to learn a lot from folks who are tweeting successfully, especially in your genre. So, you know, if you write books about little boy witches, well, then you're kind of crazy not to go check out what J.K. Rowling's Twitter page looks like, and more importantly, who's following her. Because who's following her is no doubt a fan of Harry Potter and Little Boy Witch books, and you can start following some of those folks and getting them to follow you back. So it really is about, we don't really call it stealing, you know, it's borrowing, but we can kind of learn from each other's fan bases, and because Twitter is so transparent in that sense, you can come see who I'm following, you can come see who's following us, vice versa. Twitter lists are fabulous. If you haven't built lists or sorted them, I tell folks initially you want to start building those lists so that maybe you have a list that says these are cool retweeting resources. These are things I want to be doing. Or, you know, this is just family, so when I do want to know what my brother had for breakfast, I can go here. But if I'm just looking for literary agents that day and what they ate for lunch, I can go to my literary agents list. And we've built a number of them, so you can check them out at our Twitter page, too, of the different lists that we've built, and see who's on there and kind of get an idea why we built them, book reviewers, that kind of thing. But it's a great way to both do your research and to start meeting readers on a one-to-one basis.
Next one would be, what is the best way for authors to use Facebook?
Facebook, you need to have an author fan page. A lot of authors are still trying to use their personal page, and they need to understand that they need to build a fan page within their account, because you have an unlimited number of likes that way. You don't have to, that fan doesn't have to wait around and wait to approve you as a friend. That's at the very basic level. At the more advanced level, again, engaging in groups. Look for groups. And those groups don't necessarily have to be author groups, because I see a lot of authors, trying to market to other authors. Being in the author groups is great for exchanging ideas of how we're marketing, or maybe, hey, maybe 3 or 4 of us can get together and have a virtual book party together. But other than that, you're looking for, start searching your genre on Facebook. There's likely a group for it. Or search some of your local community organizations, or find your local bookstore and see what they're talking about, and make sure they start talking about you too.
And the last one that, well, actually I'm going to switch it up. The last one we'll cover is, what about Goodreads?
Goodreads is fabulous in so many ways. Not only is it obviously a very vetted community of readers, because it's what it's for, is people sharing their reading experiences, but the groups there are, no matter what you write, there's a group there, and normally several groups there, and they're all outstanding. Goodreads has done an amazing job too with their author pages, so you can, like Amazon, kind of trick out your author page so that your blog posts can automatically go and be populated at your Goodreads page. If you have a video book trailer, it can automatically be loaded. You can load it up, so that'll be on your author page at Goodreads. And then also the groups that's a great place to hang out. And the giveaways. Goodreads does great, so you can start a giveaway that really kind of creates some interest in your book initially, helps you get reviews, and also lets you know, kind of test the market in terms of how many people then start saying, this is a book I want to read.
If you were just starting new as an author, what would you do?
Again, it depends on what kind of book I was putting out. If it were fiction, if I were writing a novel, I might actually, and if I were new to this business, I might actually look at one of a number of very good hybrid publishers out there, where you kind of split the costs and you split the revenue down the middle. I'm talking about the true hybrids, and there's some good ones that we work with. We work with a lot of their clients. And the reason that I say that is because they have an edge these days, I think, not only in giving the author a little hand-holding, because they work with a number of authors, so we do marketing calls for them, for some of these publishers, and they're very, very aggressive in terms of helping the author out, but also because then you have a kind of registered publisher's name behind you, which for fiction, that can be more important these days than not, because it is very difficult to walk into Barnes & Noble or Books A Million or an indie bookstore and say, yeah, I'm self-published by CreateSpace, can I do a book signing? No, you can't. The first thing that they're going to say to you is, if you go in and ask for a book signing, and I've gone with authors to test this in various stores in different markets, and the first thing most of them will say to you nowadays is, we don't do self-publish, but if you have a publisher, please have your publisher call us to schedule that signing. So in the case of hybrid, it's very easy to go back to the office, call the publisher, say, please call and schedule this signing for me. If you're yourself, by all means, buy your own ISBN numbers from Bowker so that you can develop in publishing in print, so you can be that publisher and go back and say, yes, I'm scheduling a book signing for so-and-so. We're with so-and-so publishing, yeah? Because of that stigma of self-published and that kind of thing. I think that Ingram Spark is a great option for folks to load up to, too, that gets you into that Ingram distribution network that shows your books are available at the different Ingram distribution centers, because that's what a lot of bookstores are going to do and check. You have to have a website these days. We do them. Great, but no matter if it's us or anybody, go out and get yourself a functioning author website. We prefer WordPress because it's very user-friendly, it's very easy to optimize, and it's just very, very easy moving forward. We can pretty much train any author to then make their own changes. You want to avoid any situation where somebody wants to charge you ongoing monthly fees. You should be able to pay and then be able to do them yourself. So everything that we do is kind of about the DIY. You can go out and hire somebody to do a blog tour for you, or we can give you the resources in the Winner Circle where you can set up your own blog tour and go to those bloggers. And we know the margins in books, so the more education that you have and the more you get to know and the more resources you can access like that to do it yourself, you're going to actually be able to see some profits come out of that work that you put in. So that's I would just do a lot of it myself.
Yeah, that's really good. And Shari, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Before we go, where do you want people to go? How should they connect with you?
Well, I'm going to be in Hawaii. No, I'm just kidding. If they come to writerswin.com, and we're very, very open. We have a great team. We have a great time. Start at the blog. Check out some posts. We appreciate folks' comments, but just start there. Check out the blog. There's all of our services are also listed there, and all the pricing. Everything is already on there for them to find out. We also do free consults with folks, so 20 minutes. And again, we encourage you first to look at the site and learn about the site and what we do there, because I'd rather spend that 20 minutes talking about what you do and where you're at in your book process. And maybe we can help some folks out. Have you tried this on Twitter or whatever? So we do a lot of that. But yeah, just come hang out. It's one big party, one big virtual cocktail party, right? Except we don't have to dress up.
Very cool, Shari. And thank you so much for being on the show. And thanks, everyone. It was a real pleasure to sit down with Shari and from writerswin.com and talk about book marketing today. I'm Sean Manaher with RJ Adams from the Author Hangout. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, guys.
One of the most popular resources that over 1,500 authors have downloaded is our Ultimate Author Checklist, where authors learn how to establish their brand, build their author platform, and more. Go to theauthorhangout.com/free guide to get our free Ultimate Author Checklist.